Morning people, welcome back to F Politics. It finally happened. Call it gaslighting, call it lying, call it just being bad people, and I hate that I can't find the tweet where I predicted this would happen, but I did. We have finally reached the point where the Brexiteers in the media, the people behind Brexit, finally start saying, well, no, actually, we never really supported Brexit anyway. In this particular case, we're talking about a debate that I just had on BBC Radio 5 Live with a member of the IEA, the Institute for Economic Affairs, an organisation that I debated several times in the years leading up to Brexit, where they were arguing not just for Brexit, but for the worst kind of it, no deal.
Actually, a no-deal scenario isn't the kind of disaster that it has always been painted as. It can basically make the best of the opportunities that Brexit offered. No deal has to be on the table.
As for using no deal as a tool to get the EU to bend, what does no deal do? It makes trade with our 27 closest economic partners more expensive. What does it do to the EU? It makes trade with one of their economic partners more expensive.
But they're biggest.
But still, it's a matter of size.
But it is still their biggest. You cannot deny that.
But okay, we lose access to 27 markets. They lose access to one market. Maths, basic maths. It hurts us significantly more. Their GDP is 5 times the size of ours. That's the market that we lose access to.
Which brings us to today, where Reem from the IEA predictably says, well, this is how Brexit should have been done.
We ourselves should implement a policy of unilateral free trade. That means reducing all tariffs to zero, getting rid of them all. And what will happen is we in the UK will be able to access so many goods from across the world that are so much cheaper.
YouTuber Femi, is it that straightforward?
Yeah, it's just interesting that no other country seems to be doing this whole let's just drop all our tariffs on all products from every other country, because that would mean that you would have no leverage in negotiations when it comes to exports. And it's specifically the damage to exports that we've seen because of Brexit, which was supported by the IEA that Reem is a part of, that have caused significant damage to our economy.
By the way, she knows I'm right, because the IEA, the organisation that she represents, published Patrick Minford, one of their main economists, saying that leaving the EU and getting rid of those protections, like tariffs, would eliminate UK manufacturing, because British companies simply wouldn't be able to compete, and that would cost hundreds of thousands of jobs here in the UK. But here's where the fun starts.
I just wanted to counteract this idea that the Institute of Economic Affairs has consistently campaigned for Brexit at all. We're an educational charity. Actually, a lot of my colleagues, so Christian Niemitz, argued strongly in favour of membership with the European Union. So I just wanted to...
Oh, wow, we are rewriting history here.
Well,
wow! Oh my God!
It's literally untrue what you've just said, and I won't have the organisation be discussed in untrue facts.
Anybody Google IEA and Brexit. Well, Google IEA and Brexit.
I'll save you some time. Here's the IEA in 2017 saying that our economic prosperity didn't depend on being in the EU. Here's Kate Andrews from the IEA on Question Time.
The real Christmas gift would be delivering Brexit before the end of the year.
And here's an article that the IEA published on their website saying that leaving the EU without any trade deal at all would be the best outcome. But she comes back with this.
After Brexit, we could have reduced all of our trade barriers to zero, but we didn't. And that's ultimately as a result of governments over the last few years not having the will to do so.
So you seem to be rowing back on the fact that the IEA supported Brexit for years, as if Kate Andrews, the chief spokesperson for the IEA, for years wasn't on Question Time every other week telling us that we had to leave the EU, You pushed for this for a long time, and it has ultimately made the British people poorer. And now you're saying that we haven't taken advantage of it when all you've done is damage the UK's trade. I find it incredible that you would actually try and deny what you've done, because now that even Brexit voters by a ratio of 45-9 can see that Brexit has made us poorer, now that everyone can see that what you have done has hurt people after the damage of COVID, after the damage of the cost of living crisis, now you're saying, no, we never said that. No, we never said that.
There are different opinions within every organisation. I personally was supportive of Brexit because I believe that there are opportunities that we had. We haven't reaped those opportunities. There are levers that we've now got.
Those opportunities go to another school.
And then the BBC decided to take some calls, and this is what the callers said.
But I totally agree with Femi, because I think Brexit was the biggest own goal, and people like Nigel Farage, 8 years later, goes very quiet over any benefits of Brexit because there aren't any, and he just sort of holds up newspapers with broken Britain, yet he was the instigator of breaking Britain.
And then she tries a typical gaslighting technique of Brexiteers.
We already have a free trade agreement with the European Union. We don't have one with any other country.
Lots of businesses have gone out of business with all the paperwork and restrictions.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
We haven't got that. So therefore...
Admitting that many UK companies have gone out of business because of Brexit while still supporting Brexit is wild behaviour.
We should get rid of the regulations then, shouldn't we? We should make it easier for businesses.
Let me back you up here. Reem, it's not up to us. What we're talking about here is the fact that because the UK took back control of its laws, we no longer have the same laws as the EU. So it's because that means that UK companies that want to sell in both the UK and the EU have two sets of regulations to follow now because of Brexit. So when you acknowledge that more regulations makes it harder for business, you're right. Yes, Brexit added more regulations for UK businesses, which is what is damaging our economy. And again, this is what you people have done to us.
I actually agree with you here. I think that ultimately it's those regulations that make it so much more difficult for businesses to trade. And specifically, actually, just an example of this.
Sorry, if we have different rules to the place where we get a third of our food, do most of our trade,
most of our trade is with the United States.
46% of our trade is with the EU. 17% of our trade is with the United States. Oh my God, do not lie on the BBC.
That's not true. The US is our largest trading partner.
It's our largest single country, but when you compare the EU together as a whole, it's 46% of our trade.
The European Union is not one country, Femi.
It operates as a single market.
The United States is our largest trading partner.
Because the concept of the EU is they all have the same rules. They're all under the same trade policy, which means they operate for the purposes of trade as a single country.
And those rules are incredibly stringent.
Otherwise, you could say that because Texas is a different state to California, that means that that's a different country. What you're doing is lying on the BBC.
Let's just take a very simple example. I use Moroccan tomatoes as that. Do you think we should be imposing tariffs and quotas on Moroccan tomatoes?
I don't think we should. I think that
in the European Union we would be forced to.
I agree. There are problems with the EU, but on balance, what Brexit has done is made the British people poorer. So yes, there are problems. I used to work in Brussels. I used to criticize the EU for a living. There are problems with the EU, but all Brexit has done is made this country poorer, and that is because of the stuff that you people did for years.
I don't know why you're blaming me for Femi.
You're here as a representative. You are here as a representative of the IEA. Your company supported Brexit.
Now, her argument was that there were different opinions over Brexit within the IEA, but during the period from 2017 to 2019, which is when the real battle over Brexit actually happened, every post, every media intervention from the IEA was pro-Brexit. I know this because I put my entire life on hold for 2 years to fight these people. So them trying to argue that they were always on the right side of history pisses me off. But on the bright side, it does prove that they know that the country can see how bad Brexit has been for all of us, that they don't want to be blamed for it. So in the name of justice and accountability, I did enjoy that debate. I'm Femi. Make sure you follow F Politics so politics doesn't F you. Have a great week.